It was supposed to be the perfect place to escape city stress. Asterisk, Rachel and her husband, Mark, had rented a small cottage on the outskirts of a sleepy rural town called Bellridge. The kind of place with gravel roads, wind chimes on porches, and not a single working streetlight after sundown. It was July, and summer's breath hung thick in the air, humid, golden, and slow. Rachel, a sound engineer recovering from burnout, wanted nothing more than to relax, sleep, and get back to the basics. Silence, fresh air, and nature. Asterisk, and the sounds. The realtor had promised it to. You'll sleep like a baby out here. Summer. Night sounds, crickets, cicadas, frogs, owls, nature's lullaby. Asterisk, Rachel had smiled. To her, that was a selling point. She'd always been drawn to ambient noise, recording it, remixing it, cataloging it. She even made money selling sleep loops online. So when they arrived and she stepped out of the car into a warm twilight, humming with layered chirps and soft rustles, she felt her tension melt. Asterisk, this, she whispered, is perfect. The first 2 nights were heavenly. Rachel recorded the night chorus using her field mic and mixed it on her laptop during the day. The cottage had no Wi-Fi, which she appreciated. Okay, she felt more creative than she had in years. Asterisk, by the 3rd night, though, she noticed something odd. Asterisk, she was wearing headphones. Listening to a slowed-down version of her latest night track was just a blend of tree frogs and cicadas. And yet around 2:41 in the file, she caught something strange. Hey, soft whisper. She replayed it, looping that segment again. Yes, it was definitely a whisper. Not in English, not loud, not natural. She frowned. Probably interference. She mumbled. Her gears sometimes picked up odd frequencies overhead planes. Old radio chatter. It wasn't supernatural. It was science. She trimmed the clip and moved on. That night, the whisper stuck in her mind. She didn't tell Mark he was already suspicious of her sound obsession, as he called it. They went to bed early, both drifting off to the natural symphony outside. Asterisk, but at exactly 3:12 a.m. Rachel sat bolt upright. Asterisk, there had been a thump. Not in her dream. Real. A dull, heavy impact from outside. Not an animal. She froze. Then, the chirping outside stopped. Asterisk, it wasn't a gradual hush. It was instant. One moment, there was life. The next, to absolute silence. It's a kind of silence that isn't empty, but waiting. Then came the dragging sound. Asterisk, it moved past the bedroom's window, slowly like a sack being pulled over gravel. Asterisk, Rachel shook Mark awake. He grunted and listened. Nothing. The sounds had returned. Frogs, crickets, everything. The dragging had stopped. You were dreaming, he said, already turning over. But Rachel wasn't so sure. Rachel spent the next morning digging through her night recordings. Asterisk, she found the section from 3 o'clock to 3:30 a.m. Asterisk, at first, everything sounded normal. Then, as she layered the tracks and filtered the low frequencies, something appeared. Voices, tangled, whispers, dozens of them, chanting, humming. It's kind of old language, repeating, overlapping, merging into something that almost sounded like crying. Asterisk, one voice stood out. A deep male voice, whispering the same word again and again. Asterisk, join. Rachel's hands trembled. She removed her headphones and sat back. This wasn't electrical interference. Asterisk, someone or something was out there. On the 5th day, Rachel walked into Bellridge's tiny general store and casually asked the elderly shopkeeper if there had been any legends or history about the area. Asterisk, backwoods stuff, the old woman said vaguely. You know, settlers, spirits, old camps, native trails, that kind of thing. Asterisk, Rachel pressed. Anything about night sounds or voices? Asterisk, the woman paused. You should talk to the librarian, Mrs. Helen. She's been here forever. Asterisk, so Rachel. Did she biked to the small library and found Helen, a wiry woman with gray braids and sharp eyes. I know who you are, Helen said. The sound girl. Asterisk, Rachel blinked. How? Asterisk, you're not the first. Asterisk, Helen pulled a dusty folder from beneath her desk and opened it. Inside were newspaper clippings, handwritten notes, and even CASSETT said tapes. Asterisk, it's called The Collector, Helen said. A thing that roams these woods at night. Not quite a ghost, not quite a man. It doesn't kill, it doesn't chase. It listens, asterisk, listens. It gathers sounds, voices, screams. It's always searching for the perfect sound to add to its collection. And if you record it, if you hear it, she tapped Rachel's folder, then it hears you too. That night, Rachel didn't record anything. She unplugged her mic and left her laptop closed, but she couldn't sleep. Asterisk, at 3 a.m., the summer chorus stopped again, and this time, Mark sat up too. Did you hear that? He whispered. Asterisk, Rachel nodded, waited in the dark. Asterisk, then came the whisper, not outside, inside, behind the bedroom wall. Asterisk, Rachel. Asterisk, Mark screamed, and jumped out of bed, switching on the lights. Nothing. Asterisk, but something had changed in him after that. He grew distant, unresponsive. He stared at the woods for hours. At night, she caught him standing at the window, whispering things she couldn't understand. Asterisk, on the 7th night. Rachel woke up and Mark was gone. Asterisk, she found him in the woods, behind the house, standing still among the trees, surrounded by silence. Asterisk, when she called to him, he didn't turn. He just whispered something like, "It's so beautiful, ... The quiet. Rachel couldn't get Mark to come back inside. Asterisk, she stood at the edge of the tree line in her slippers, heart racing, swatting away mosquitoes as she called his name again. Asterisk, Mark. Please, it's asterisk still. He stood motionless, his back to her, arms limp at his sides. Asterisk, she stepped toward him, man. The moment her foot crunched on a dry leaf, every sound stopped again. It was like someone had sucked the air out of the world. No crickets, no frogs, no wind. Leave her shallow breathing and something else. A faint clicking dot asterisk, not from Mark, but from the deeper woods behind him. Asterisk, click, click, click. Rachel's instincts screamed at her to run, but she stepped closer to Mark instead, grabbed his wristband, found his skin ice cold. Asterisk, he turned to her slowly, his face slack, and his eyes wrong. Asterisk, they were wide, glassy, his pupils blown out. Okay? And he whispered, asterisk, it's almost ready. The perfect sound. He's close now. Rachel screamed and yanked him backward. For a moment, he resisted, then blinked, shivered violently, and collapsed into her arms. Asterisk, what? What happened? He asked, as if waking from a trance. Asterisk, they both turned toward the woods. The clicking was gone, but the trees still stood still, like they were holding their breath. Back inside, Ka forced Mark to drink water and rest. Asterisk, then she did the one thing she had promised herself she wouldn't. Ka, she played one of the old cassette tapes Helen had given her. It crackled with age, but the voice was clear. A man, Ka, measured, asterisk, recording. July 3rd, 1981. Bellridge Forest, night ambient test. There were crickets, soft wind, then silence, then the whisper. Do you hear it too? No, that wasn't the wind. It's in the gaps, where sound should be. It fills silence like a shadow. There was a pause, then a scream. Sudden, raw, cut off. Rachel slammed the player off. Outside, crickets stopped again. Asterisk, she didn't sleep that night. On the 8th night, the sounds didn't return. Asterisk, not just at 3 a.m., they didn't come back at all. No frogs, no owls, no rustle of leaves, only silence. Rachel sat up in bed, a recorder on her lap, even though she had no intention of using it. Asterisk, and then, from the hallway, a footstep. She turned to Mark. He was asleep beside her. Asterisk, another step. Then a slow, dragging noise, just like before inside the house. Asterisk, she got up, clutching the recorder like a weapon, and opened the door. Nothing there, but down the hall. The front door stood wide open. Asterisk, a breeze, blue and warm, sticky, smelling faintly of rot. And in that breath of wind, a voice. Your voice is missing. Rachel returned to the library the next morning. Helen wasn't there. Instead, her desk was empty and a note lay on top. Gone to listen. Don't follow. Rachel dug through Helen's files again and found something she hadn't seen before. An article from 1957 titled, "Local Man Found Deaf, Disoriented in Woods." The man, a former radio technician, had reportedly been recording ambient sounds for study when he vanished for 3 days. He returned, unable to speak or hear, scribbling only one sentence over and over. He steals the space between sounds. Suddenly, Rachel understood. The collector wasn't just a spirit or an echo. It existed in silence. It lived in the gaps between noise, the pauses, the stillness. And when you noticed it, when you recorded, it noticed you. Rachel and Mark decided to leave. They packed their things in silence. No background noise, not even wind. But as they approached their car, Rachel's recorder, which she hadn't touched, turned on by itself. A red light blinked. Recording. She grabbed it and tried to turn it off, but the screen showed only one word. Listening. Then came the sound. Not from the device, but from everywhere. A growing hum. Not mechanical. Not natural. It was human. Thousands of voices layered into one massive, vibrating chorus. Laughing, crying, whispering. The trees around them began to sway, though there was no wind, and from the shadows of the forest it emerged. A shape, humanoid, but flickering like it was being badly streamed through static. Its face was a void, black mouth that gaped wider with each voice it swallowed. Mark dropped to his knees, covering his ears. Rachel stepped in front of him, heart pounding. The thing paused. Then, from that hollow mouth, spoke using her voice, stolen from her old recordings. You captured me. Now I capture you. And it lunged. Rachel woke up in the hospital. Mark sat at her bedside, holding her hand. You screamed, he whispered. God, you screamed so loud, I dragged you to the road. Someone found us. She blinked, confused. The forest, the voices. Mark shook his head. I don't remember. Just silence. Weeks passed. They moved out, left Bellridge behind. Rachel never recorded again. She threw away her laptop, her gear, even her sound library. But one night, months later, an email arrived. No sender, no subject, just an audio file titled "The Perfect Sound.wav." She hovered over it, trembling, then deleted it. But now, at night, as she lies in bed, when the world falls quiet, she hears it again, that whisper, that voice from the silence between sounds. I'm still listening.